What's good, man? My name is FlemLo Raps and I'm losing my voice. It sucks, but I'm a little under the weather. Either way, show must go on. I want to welcome y'all back to This Week in Last Chance U. This is the series where I update you guys on every piece of notable news from within the Last Chance U universe. Now, I'm an old head when it comes to this, so we cover seasons 1, season 2, and season 3, cats that's currently looking for teams, cats that's still JUCO, cats that's D1 right now, and cats that's in the NFL. Today's episode includes news from Vijay Miller, Carlos Thompson, Malik Henry, JF3, Swag Kelly, CJ Reavis, Bobby Bruce, Ronald Ali, DJ Law, Isaiah Wright, Dakota Allen, and more. Without further ado, y'all already know what time it is. This Week in Last Chance U. Cue the Wayne. So this week, college football made its triumphant return, so it's only right that we start out with all the guys who are playing college ball. Dakota Allen was shown a lot of love before the Texas Tech Ole Miss game, and he had a solid outing once the game actually kicked off. He recorded 4 tackles. Last Chance U alum has tweeted that Carlos Thompson has been ruled eligible to play and he will be playing in his first game this week versus Fort Hays. Carlos was one of, if not my favorite character from season 3. He started out a little bit shaky, but once he turned the corner, dude was a leader throughout the rest of the series. Wishing him luck going forward. Rakeem Boyd was the favorite as far as talent and star potential during season 3, but he wasn't used a ton in his Arkansas debut, only carrying the ball 6 times for a total of 12 yards. He also had an 8-yard reception. Staying with the season 3 running backs, Jamal Scott was on the team that faced Rakeem and the Arkansas Razorback defense. And even though Eastern Illinois EIU lost by 30 points, Jamal Scott himself had an impressive day. He led the team in rush yards, going for 82 yards on 12 carries. And just think, that's versus an SEC defense. So Jamal might just really go off next week versus Illinois State. Now on the flip side of that, Kingston Davis is a part of a pretty crowded running back room at UAB. He was only afforded 6 carries in their blowout win versus Savannah State, and he only managed to put up 16 yards. The good news is that he was able to find the end zone, scoring a touchdown, but there were 5 other UAB running backs who all had more yards than Kingston did. So that's not a real great sign. The OG Ronald Ali suited up for Nickel State and helped them in their win versus Kansas. Now once again, Ali's an interior defensive lineman, so you can't really expect him to put up gaudy numbers. He only recorded 1 tackle, but he's back, he's matured, and there's a lot of people that said he'd never play college football again after he left Nichols the first time. Well, those people were wrong. Chauncey Rivers finally got on the field for Mississippi State after being ruled ineligible last season at the last second. He played well, recording 2 tackles and a tackle for loss. My dog Tim Bonner hit the field for FAU and he also recorded 1 tackle for loss. Emmett Gooden played for Tennessee but couldn't get to Will Greer enough as Tennessee fell to West Virginia. Emmett recorded 2 tackles in the game. Vijay Miller is back at Emcc. Since season 2, he's been playing baseball in the minor leagues, but now finds himself back at Emcc as a backup quarterback. That's right, Vijay is in pretty much the same exact situation that he was in before when he was backing up DeAndre Johnson. Now he's backing up a guy whose first name is literally Messiah. That's his actual name, bro. And that dude threw for 323 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions in last week's game. Vijay came out afterwards and went 8 of 14 for 82 yards while also rushing for 24 more on the ground. Malik Henry is back at Indy. There's pictures, he's on the roster, but he still hasn't touched the field. But Indy did suffer his first loss of the season this past week, so maybe it's time that Malik takes the reins. Bobby Bruce is no longer listed on the Independence roster. He didn't play in week 1 and it appears that he did not play week 2. Again, I'm almost positive that some news is gonna come out about this. It may even drop today as I'm finalizing this video super early in the morning, about 6 a.m. Central Time. Be sure to check the comment section because if that news comes out, before this video goes up. I'm gonna pin that as the top comment in this video. If it comes out any day after, just expect an update. DJ Law and Isaiah Wright have clicked up and dropped this photo over on Twitter. Dope to see the season 1 boys back together, and just think, this was season 1 starting running back and the backup running back, and bruh, they was some beasts, alright? DJ is currently trying to make a college football comeback, and so is Isaiah. I know for a fact that Isaiah is gearing up to train with renowned trainer Justin Allen, and I'm not sure where he and DJ were when they met up, but hopefully they're both gonna do a bit of training. Justin Allen does more than train these guys up physically. He's the one that helped out Ronald Ali, and you can see how much Ali has grown just mentally and from a maturity standpoint. He's now helping out Isaiah, and Isaiah's feeling inspired, and it seems that he's really ready to turn that corner. Now, we already talked about Tim Bonner, but FAU got blown out by Kyler Murray and the Oklahoma Sooners. That's just a very tough matchup for anybody. And even though it was said to be a tight competition at FAU between DeAndre Johnson, Chris Robinson, and a couple other guys, DeAndre was said to have been leading that competition and looking like the favorite leading up to the game. But Lane Kiffin decided that Oklahoma transfer Chris Robinson would be the guy to get the start versus his former team. Unfortunately, FAU was woefully outmatched, and Robinson ended up going 15 of 26 for 157 yards. He was unable to score any touchdowns. DeAndre got into the game late and only threw 3 passes, of which he only completed 1 for 11 yards. He did manage to rush for 39 yards, which made him the team's second leading rusher. Again, Oklahoma is a very tough game for FAU, so I'm not sure that they would make a quarterback switch after that, but we'll just have to keep an eye on it and monitor this situation. Now, let's talk briefly about our NFL guys before we wrap up the show. Both JF3 and CJ Reavis were waived by their respective teams during Saturday's cuts to the 53-man roster. And you guys should recall that in the last episode, we said that the best hope for each guy would honestly come down to making a practice squad. Well, we have good and we have bad news. We'll start with the bad news. I've looked at multiple sites and none of them list John Franklin III making the Bears practice squad. They ended up keeping a total of 8 players and only 1 DB made it. That was Michael Joseph. So it appears that John Franklin III's NFL dreams may have come to a screeching halt. I'm very interested to see JF3's next move. My guy is extremely resilient, and I know that there's something great right around the corner for him. Maybe he gets picked up by another team. Maybe he's added to someone else's practice squad. Maybe he looks to play football in a different league, or maybe he just goes a different direction altogether. The second we know, you guys will know. Now, much better immediate news from CJ Reavis. Check out what he posted on Twitter yesterday. Not what I worked and prayed for, but I've always got in mind on the back end. I appreciate the Jaguars for the opportunity to be on their practice squad. Still, thank you, Lord. So as you can see, CJ's made the practice squad. Is a little bit disappointed that he didn't make the 53-man roster, but very grateful for the opportunity to join the Jaguars practice squad and continue to chase his NFL dream. In case you were wondering, for the 2018 season, practice squad players can make no less than $7,600 per week. Now, of course, this only lasts for as long as the season lasts. So if you stay on the practice squad for the entire season, you'll make about $129,000. Obviously a pretty good living, and then you can still get a side gig during the off season. So for the time being, CJ is good. He's just got to keep grinding, and we'll follow his story throughout. Swag Kelly made the Broncos roster and is the backup quarterback going into the season. So that's what's up for Chad. And lastly, a bit of bonus news. Coach Brown and the assistant coach, who he almost came to blows with during the show, not Frank Diaz. They never almost came to blows, despite what Frank says. This guy. And apparently they're cool now. They posted this picture on Twitter the other day, which is pretty dope to see. And Stogie, Coach Brown's puppy that he got toward the end of Last Chance U Season 3, has become somewhat of an unofficial mascot for the team. I'm not really a dog person at all, but I thought this was pretty cool, and I figured that some of y'all out there might also think this was dope. Alright y'all, thanks for checking out the video, man. If you dug it, don't forget, click the thumbs up button. My name is FlemLo. I'm gonna holler at you next time. 1.